Biofuel is the fuel that is derived from biomass, which can be plant or algae material or animal waste. It is a renewable energy source because the feedstock material can be replenished readily. In recent years, green technology like using food waste to make biofuels is no longer a new concept to us. Lots of research on this type of alternative liquid biofuels is done for various purposes, such as to overcome the depletions of fossil fuels, to reduce the environmental pollution, and to be the substitute for gasoline and biodiesel due to the increasing demand for liquid biofuels. A few common types of biofuels that are available and in use today are bioethanol, biodiesel, bio-oil, biogas, algae fuel, and etc. As we know that bioethanol and biodiesel are widely used as a substitute for diesel fuel and gasoline. Generally, biofuel is classified into 4 generations. For the first generation biofuels, we will refer to the bioethanol, biodiesel, and bio-oil. First generation biofuels rely on food crops as their feedstock, for example, corn, soy, palm, and sugarcane. This is because they have readily accessible sugars, starch, and oils. For the second generation biofuels, we will use lignocellulosic biomass as feedstock. Among them, dedicated biofuel crops like waste vegetable oil, forest residue, and agriculture residue such as the corn stalk. For the third generation biofuels, we will usually refer to the algae fuel that derive from the feedstock algae. Meanwhile, for the fourth generation biofuels, it will combine genetically optimized feedstocks like algae, which are designed to capture large amounts of carbon with genomically synthesized microbes made to make fuels efficiently. Lipids, carbohydrates, amino acid, phosphate, vitamins, and other carbon-containing compounds are the common components found in the food waste. However, the composition is mainly dependent on the place of food waste generation, timing of collections of food waste, and people foods habit. As we know that biofuels can be manufactured either from the edible or non-edible feedstock. Recently, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization had estimated that 1.3 billion tons of food are wasted globally every year. Malaysia is also facing this kind of problem where Malaysians produce around 50,000 tons of food waste daily. However, 3,000 tons of food waste actually can be avoided daily. Note that this number can feed approximately 2.2 million people, which is more than the populations of KL nowadays. Most countries will dispose of their food waste at landfills. This will cause some environmental burdens that need to be concerned. Number 1, the emission of greenhouse gases can cause the air pollution. Number 2, the formation of unpleasant odor and unhealthy degraded products by biochemical decomposition. And lastly, the leaching after raining events where undesirable leachate will pose a risk to public health. Generally, food waste can be recycled through biological or thermochemical methods. Under biological methods, food waste can produce biogas via anaerobic digestion, bioethanol via fermentation, and biodiesel via transesterification. Whereas under thermochemical method, food waste can manufacture bio-oil through pyrolysis and gasification, heat and electricity through incineration, and hydrochar through hydrothermal carbonization.
Here, I will talk about some of the type of biofuel. The first one is biodiesel. The extraction of lipid is required to generate biodiesel from food waste and may be done using a variety of ways such as conventional extraction, socialite extraction, and supercritical extraction. To obtain the biodiesel, once the lipid is extracted, it will undergo transesterification. three major trans-esterification techniques that can be used are base catalyzed trans-esterification that uses potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide as catalyst, acid catalyzed trans-esterification that uses strong acid as catalyst, and enzyme catalyzed trans-esterification that usually use lipase as the biocatalyst. Note that enzyme catalyzed trans-esterification is more favored nowadays as lipase are moisture tolerant, where the production can be done under mild condition with no formation of side products. After that, we will see for the bioethanol. So, for the bioethanol production, food waste must be pre-treated before undergoing enzymatic hydrolysis. Commonly, food waste is pre-treated using autoclave method to avoid microbiological contamination instead of thermal pretreatment, as it can cause the food waste to degrade. Hence, the thermal pretreatment is avoided in the production of the bioethanol. Following pretreatment, the food waste will be hydrolyzed or saccharified into small sugar unit, which these small sugar are then subjected to fermentation. Lastly, distillation must take place to obtain the pure ethanol. The last type of the biofuel we will talk here is bio-oil. In bio-oil production, pyrolysis is applied to convert food waste into biofuels. However, there are some limitations that we need to be concerned about. For example, the bio-oil has poor thermal stability, poor fuel properties, and the corrosive nature of the bio-oil. To improve the yield of bio-oil, pre-treatment of the food waste is carried out using carbohydrates, proteins, and lipase.
The advantages that we can get by converting the food waste into biofuels are: biofuels is a fossil fuel-free alternative that at the same time can reduce the emission of greenhouse gases effect. Next, food waste generated may be used more sustainably. Besides, space constraint in urban environment can be overcome. Lastly, energy security and a reduction in reliance on politically unstable Middle Eastern countries. However, some of the disadvantages that we discovered are: the operational costs to convert food waste into biofuels are high. Besides, there are currently no cost-effective technique available, particularly for mixed food waste. To deal with the diverse nature of our food waste, at once an economic valorization method need to be developed. Moreover, most of the ongoing study is still in its early phases. Food waste collection is a concern due to the unorganized nature of the industry. The general perception of food waste is that it should be discarded. This thinking makes collecting difficult and challenging to change our society's mindset. Hence, social campaign and proper planning for the smooth collections of food waste are needed to emphasize the significance of food waste. Food waste is commonly mixed with other solid municipal garbage in many regions. Proper separations and sorting methods of food waste from non-biological waste are necessary for further processing and usage. However, it might be different from place to place depending on the type of food.
Besides that, food waste is a non-renewable resource. Food waste can be reduced because of better food production and use management. Also, by attaching small or medium biofuel production plants to big restaurants and food parks can reduce the transportation cost of food waste. Furthermore, food waste composition is determined mainly by location, eating patterns, and eating times. As a result, its chemical makeup and water content must be determined before being used as a resource to produce biofuels. To overcome this challenge, it is required to have a proper characterization method to characterize the type of food waste. Food waste is usually composed of lipids, carbohydrates, amino acids, phosphates, vitamins, and other nutrients. This makes individual separation and purification become costly. Also, it requires volatile organic solvents that are very bad for our health and the environment. Thus, a single reaction system should be developed in advance. In a nutshell, food waste is a non-edible and low-value resource that may be utilized to manufacture biofuels and other value-added products. In the future, the conversion of food waste into biofuels and other value-added products should be utilized in a large scale by cost-effective chemical and biochemical methods.
Thank you.